So I'm at this moment where I've finally committed to the thing that I've been scared for my entire life to commit to. And at the exact same moment, AI is better than it's ever been and threatening the reality of everything that I just decided that I wanted to do. And that's really scary.
This is a funny spot to pick because I didn't realize that there are parking spots literally right here. So people are pulling up as I speak. A couple of days ago, I went and hung out with one of my best friends, and we had one of the harder conversations for me than we've ever had. And surprise, surprise, it was about AI.
You know what I think would cheer you up? If I gave you this copy of the Everything is Tuberculosis AI Slop Written Cookbook inspired by John Green, because the future is great and AI is going to save us all.
Oh, this is actually written by AI.
Yes.
Good morning, John. So it's starting to seem a little bit like this fun little AI thing that we're doing is going to be about 30 to 40 different giant AI things over the next 3 months to 5 years, and I'm not really ready for that.
It's everywhere. Like, I open a new Word document and I have to go turn off AI things that wants to write my story for me.
Yeah. I had that experience where I wrote something and then I went to reread it and I'm like, wait, these are not my words. Like, this is, I was fairly careful about what happened. And so I rewrote it and it like auto corrected to what it thought was a better sentence. And I was like, okay, this has to stop.
I've never had that. That's horrifying.
It's being developed on our backs without our permission and then used to take opportunities away from us. AI art holds as much value as NFTs did. Do you remember that bullshit?
Any skills an actual artist spends time to learn will be sucked up and trained off of, and goobers like this guy will congratulate himself for how talented of an artist he is for generating slop from it.
If you think AI art is bad, AI video generation is going to be even worse. Video evidence will no longer be admissible in court because anything can be fabricated. People can make pornography of others without their consent. And of course, dead celebrities will continue to be profitable for media conglomerates who can continue to use their image and voices long after they're gone.
Right now, companies are debating whether they should just hire artists or instead prompt images trained off of their work but for free and not have to reward the actual artist for their effort. Why be forced to reward someone for their skills when you can instead train off the work they've already done but for free?
It matters because me and virtually every artist I know was stolen from to make this tech work. It's theft on an unprecedented scale and forces artists to quite literally compete with their own work, which the US Copyright Office and copyright law has thoughts on. Jobs are drying up. I'm seeing it in real time. There's AI artwork on art department walls, in pitch decks. I don't worry about a prompt engineer taking my job. They don't have the fundamentals or ability to fit into a pipeline. I worry about one artist doing the job of 10 and it being derivative crap on top of it.
A few weeks ago, this friend, who I love dearly, was talking to me about my animation journey and was trying to encourage me to basically make it commercially viable. And in his mind, the way to make it commercially viable, to be able to pull it off, is AI. And I felt very misunderstood by this. And I told him as much. I said, you would never tell your wife, who's a painter, to use AI instead of her acrylic paints. But why are you telling me to use AI to animate? He proceeded to tell me all of these conflicts and all of these concerns that he has about AI. He's just as concerned as I am. He believes that most jobs will be completely obsolete in 10 years because of AI. He might actually believe more strongly than I do about where AI is going. And yet he's using it daily in his work because he feels that he needs to in order to stay relevant. Last year and the beginning of this year, freelance completely dried up. And now it's back. It's back in a fury. And everyone is asking for AI. Companies are no longer coming up with concepts and then producing them and then sending that footage to editors. Instead, they are coming up with concepts and then going directly to the editors and asking them to do the generative AI shots and then to edit them together. And of course, eventually the generative AI will be so good that the editors won't even need to put together the shots that they've generated because the AI will just do it. So my friend is in a really tough position because he has a wife and children and he hates AI, and yet he has to use AI in order to make enough money to pay his mortgage, to pay his bills, and to keep his family fed right now. And yet it's a losing battle because inevitably in another 5 years, all the skill sets that he has will be completely obsolete. and he believes that. It's a story that we're telling ourselves. It's a story that has not happened in fullness yet, but it is happening.
On the supply side, we have copyright theft, the treatment of data workers, and the energy consumption. On the risk side, we have bias and discrimination, factually incorrect outputs, and psychosocial harm.
I'm worried that the implications are pretty serious. Like maybe governments can frame someone with evidence of fake voice recording. Please prove me wrong. Pumpkins and penguins. Kate, I have terrible news, Kate.
Yeah.
With AI, it's good for many, many things. It's going to be magnificent in healthcare and education and more or less any industry that needs to use its data. It's going to be able to use it better with AI. So we're not going to stop the development. There's risks that come from people misusing AI.
Yeah.
And that's most of the risks and all of the short-term risks. And then there's risks that come from AI getting super smart and deciding it doesn't need us.
Is that a real risk?
And I talk mainly about that second risk because lots of people say, is that a real risk? Mm-hmm. And yes, it is.
If there were for some reason the large language model could help cure cancer, you can use my books to train your large language model. I'm cool with that.
But what we're getting is we're going to create a thing that competes directly with you.
And it uses your art style.
Yeah.
We don't want to act like we're Luddites who don't want to see technology progress. You don't have to kick us in the head while you're doing it.
And I constantly see people now see real things and then say that's AI. And I'm like, oh, great. So now we have no idea what's real or not.
It's not so much that we can't tell what's fake. It's that we can't tell what's real.
Yeah.
That's
when
the
you
more
can't tell what's
disturbing
fake, you
part
can't
of
tell
it to
what's
me.
real. Yeah. And that seems to so far be the bigger problem, where it's just like no one believes anything and everything can be called into question.
Cyber attacks. So between 2023 and 2024, they increased by about a factor of 1,200%. And that's probably because these large language models make it much easier to do phishing attacks, using AIs to create nasty viruses.
Which is going to continue to divide us further and further.
Worrisome.
What's next?
Lethal autonomous weapons.
How do we figure out what's real and what's not real?
It's just going to gradually converge.
It's a paradigm shift. We always had tools, new tools, which allowed some job to be done more efficiently. So instead of having 10 workers, you could have 2 workers, and 8 workers had to find a new job. And there was another job. Now you can supervise those workers or do something cool. If you creating a meta invention, you're inventing intelligence, you're inventing a worker, an agent, then you can apply that agent to the new job. There is not a job which cannot be automated. That never happened before.
So far in human history, there have been no counterfeit humans that can't do all of the things that humans can do, but everything they do looks human to us, who can have goals and work in the world in ways that we can't predict to achieve those goals. What does a society look like when it has those entities roving around in it, and when those entities are controlled by everyone from that teenager in Orlando to Vladimir Putin?
Half of all white-collar entry-level jobs are eliminated over the next 5 years. And that is exactly what has been predicted by Dario Amodei, the founder of Anthropic. As the ranking member of the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, I just released a report finding that AI, automation, and robotics could replace nearly 100 million jobs in America over the next decade.
And the net result is what leads me to the ridiculously clickbait title of AI is a hype-filled dumpster fire that's going to burn down the planet and get you thrown in jail.
So I guess the question becomes, if I know that a lot of artistry has no economics and is kind of a thing of the past, and if it's looking like even copyright, intellectual property, the right to own your own concepts is potentially a thing of the past, why do I keep making stuff?
It happened. A close family member of mine was so fooled by an AI-generated image that they posted it to our family chat and tried to use it as proof that the celebrity that they liked was aligned with my family's political stance. It's not like I knew it was AI and could call it out. The only reason why we realized it was AI is because my brother happens to know a lot about that celebrity and knew that they wouldn't probably wear that merchandise. And so we were able to do some research and deduce that, this is AI generated. Sora 2 was just released, which is OpenAI's 100% AI generated version of TikTok. And the common theme that I'm seeing with everyone is that we're cooked.
Here's what makes the slop different and maybe more terrifying on the Sora app. When you first log into the app, you scan your face in like you do on an iPhone for Face ID. Then you can actually put yourself in the slop. Casey as a 1970s F1 driver winning a race.
Can't believe it. We actually pulled it off. Winner of the Grand Prix, everyone!
But wait, there's more. I can tag my friends in my slop, and I can make slop of my friends or my friends and me or whoever.
Friction matters. How easy it is to do this stuff matters. Like if you have to sign up for a new account from some company that might be a front for the Russian mafia in order to get a deep fake of Barack Obama saying that he loves Donald Trump, that's just not going to happen that often. The new Sora, it seems designed to make videos that look believable. And then they put like a little watermark that's like extraordinarily easy to crop out.
Am I overthinking all this, or are we starting to turn a corner where slop starts to overwhelm or displace actual creativity?
The friction matters, Sam! The extent to which these very powerful people feel no sense of responsibility to anything makes me feel like maybe they shouldn't have this much power!
I have friends who work in the visual effects industry who have been making Hollywood-level effects for 15 years. Even those highly specialized friends often can't tell the difference between a regular video and an AI-generated video anymore. To be fooled by AI is effortless now, and to verify that something is AI-generated takes tons of work. We're gonna be overwhelmed by sheer quantity. Sure, I can verify if one thing is AI-generated, but while I was doing that, another 10,000 AI-generated videos, all just as compelling, were also released publicly. This morning I was recommended a couple of videos, one an interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson that covered a lot of AI topics, another with a prominent 3D artist, don't remember his name. I'll be clipping from that podcast later in this video probably. But these people have a very different take on AI. A take on AI that is much less doom and gloom, very different. And I don't know what to think. Maybe I'm buying into a narrative a little bit more than I should be. Maybe I've been only listening to one side of the story. I need to do more research.
So some people find that concerning. You don't find it concerning.
I don't think it's in the offing.
What do you mean by in the offing?
I don't see why we would value it. It sounds highly useful.
Right.
Okay? However, we're humans and we're in charge. Or at least we still tell ourselves that.
Okay.
So I have tasks in my life. I would love to have computers do it for me.
Yeah.
I don't want the computer to do everything. I want it to do that thing.
Yeah.
Don't get a computer that can do that thing.
So why are the leading science and tech thought leaders talking about this in a very terrifying way?
So let me clarify that for you.
Sure.
Some leading tech people talk about it in that way.
Okay.
And they're the ones that get all the clickbait. What you don't see are the far out the number of tech people who do not feel that way.
Okay.
But no one goes to interview them.
Got it.
Because it's not as fun.
They don't have a blue check presence. They're out here publishing PDFs. Yeah.
It's not as fun.
All the discussion that artists are making around AI is kind of backwards. Like people are going like, the big companies only want this so that they can fire all their artists and just make a movie with 3 people. But it's like, think that through for a second. Like, if they can fire everybody and make a movie with 3 people, so can you.
Yes.
It's the next step of progress for humanity. AI is already empowering small businesses and individual creatives to compete at a scale and in a way they never had the opportunities to before. AI is the most groundbreaking technological revolution ever since electricity or the steam engine. And the potential for AI to empower humanity and help solve our most challenging problems is unfathomable. If anything, AI will lead to more people in the long term being able to indulge in creativity because it'll lead to a post post-scarcity society. A society where you don't need to figure out how to pay your bills with art, you can just make art. And people who haven't been able to be a part of that in the past will have more opportunities in the future than they have ever had before.
How confident are you that AI's promise will outweigh the perils?
I'm not confident.
Hearing you say you're not confident is kind of scary.
People should think through, how is AI going to reshape our lives? It is a profound change agent. And, I don't think it should just be the people who know the technology, because there's a lot of choices about how it gets used. It will change learning. It will change the job market. And, I think we can shape that in the right way, but it'll be, just like nuclear energy, nuclear weapons, it'll challenge us.
The problem is that no one, including the creators of AI, know how AI actually works. And don't take my word for it, take the CEO of Anthropic's word for it. As I've been researching all of this, I've been hearing people talk about AI as if it's like a biological thing to be researched rather than actual code that is knowable and created by humans. So I've gone right to the source. I am on Dario Modai's personal website where he released this article earlier this year, and we're just going to read the whole paragraph. Modern generative AI systems are opaque in a way that fundamentally differs from traditional software. If an ordinary software program does something, for example, a character in a video game says a line of dialogue or my food delivery app allows me to tip my driver, it does those things because a human specifically programmed them in. Generative AI is not like that at all. When a generative AI system does something, like summarize a financial document, we have no idea at a specific or precise level why it makes the choices it does, why it chooses certain words over others, or why it occasionally makes a mistake despite usually being accurate. As my friend and co-founder Chris Olah is fond of saying, generative AI systems are grown more than they are built. Their internal mechanisms are emergent rather than directly designed. It's a bit like growing a plant or a bacterial colony. We set the high-level conditions that direct and shape growth, but the exact structure which emerges is unpredictable and difficult to understand or explain. Looking inside these systems, what we see are vast matrices of billions of numbers. These are somehow computing important cognitive tasks, but exactly how they do so isn't obvious. Many of the risks and worries associated with generative AI are ultimately consequences of this opacity, and would be easier to address if the models were more interpretable. We're talking about technology, not a botanical garden, and yet we're using the word grown. It was very surreal and a little bit scary to hear Sam Altman talk about how he was exploring a new model of ChatGPT to see what it was capable of, because he didn't know.
And on a whim, with an early copy of GPT-5, I was like, I wonder if it can make a TI-83 style game of Snake. And of course, it did that perfectly in like 7 seconds.
There was a study, Your Brain on Google.
And what we found, people who had never searched online before, their brain was activated during the book reading task in areas you'd expect, but it didn't look any different when they were searching online. Very similar pattern. Frontal lobe, visual cortex, and so forth. People who are internet savvy look very much the same reading the book, but huge difference when they searched online. More than twofold greater activation throughout the brain, and especially the front part of the brain, the thinking brain that controls decision making.
Seems like the Your Brain on ChatGPT study found the opposite, that when people used ChatGPT, there was less brain activation.
There is a paper, spoiler alert, called Your Brain on Google from 2008. Literally, that's the name of the paper. So we've actually found something very similar to what they found. There would be a lot of activations in the back of your head. This is called visual cortex or occipital cortex. It's basically where a lot of visual information processed. So, you're basically jumping between the tabs, looking at some information, maybe looking at the paper while listening to us. So this is what we actually seen, and there's plenty of papers already showing the same effect. But then for the LLM group, for ChatGPT group, we saw the least of these functional connectivity activations.
The headline coverage that I read of this implied that this less brain activation was a bad thing. And I ate it up, hook, line, and sinker. I was primed to hate AI, and so I assumed, ChatGPT means you're using less of your brain. And this explanation from this researcher is just so smart and clarified a lot of my fears.
surrounding this.
And it doesn't, again, mean that you became dumb or you
Yes,
became
it does.
There's actually quite a few papers specifically having in the title laziness, and we can talk about this with other results. But from brain perspective, from our results, it doesn't show that. What it actually shows that, hey, you have been really exposed to one very limited tool, right? You know, there's not a lot of visual stuff happening. Brain doesn't really struggle when you actually use this tool, so you have much less of this functional connectivity. So that's what we found.
There's a tendency to judge it and to think that this is bad. Many times parents and educators will complain, how can my kids do their homework if they're text messaging, IMing, and listening to their iPods at the same time? My answer is, how are they doing in their grades? It's a different world today. They have to learn how to deal with the technology. Technology train is way out of the station, is charging down the track. The question is, how are we going to adapt and how are we going to improve our lives?
In this Your Brain on ChatGPT study, it's interesting. We found that the brain-only group exhibited strong variability in how participants approached essay writing across most topics. In contrast, the LLM group produced statistically homogeneous essays within each topic, showing significantly less deviation compared to the other groups. So using an LLM made the essays fundamentally less unique from each other, more homogeneous. So if you want to stand out and be unique, it's super important to limit your use of LLMs.
The computer completely transformed everything we do at all times.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But it became so blended into our lives, we're not thinking of it as a singular thing. Such is the future of AI. In my vision, such as it'll become so much a part of it. It already is. If you drive an electric car, it's making decisions for you faster than you.
Yes.
Even if it's not an electric car.
Yes.
Automatic braking if someone walks in front of the thing. Sure. You don't call that AI, but something made that decision for you.
Well, one of the things that people talk about, and I was talking about with our producers, is human beings have this blind spot. And the specific blind spot is our inability to see things exponentially.
I want to invoke nostalgia for the future. Okay?
Yeah.
Here it is. When we went from horses to cars, whole industries went belly up. But other industries rose because of these new needs that we had. Automobiles. We needed gas stations, auto repair, factories that build cars.
Sure.
Okay? It's not the same job that you had with a buggy whip, but it's another job being put back into society.
This comparison that he's using of the change from horses to cars in the early 20th century is very similar to the one that I've used about analog to digital. And it does soothe some of my fears. And it does help comfort me. Makes me think, maybe we're gonna be okay. Neil deGrasse Tyson says that historically, every time we have a big technological shift that changes the marketplace, new jobs have replaced it. But there's that other interview where it was discussed that AI is different. They are workers that can autonomously do tasks without oversight, which means that its viability to replace workers and not create new job opportunities seems like a higher risk factor. And I wish Neil deGrasse Tyson would address that actual possibility. Also, copyright. Holy shit, that's such a big issue. The more I research AI, the more nuanced my relationship with AI becomes. It's actually, in a lot of ways, starting to reflect my opinions about social media. I hate social media in a lot of ways. Social media has been devastating for me in the past. I've literally probably lost thousands of hours doom scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, and I'll never get that time back. There are moments in my past when I became severely depressed and lost my confidence, and I can directly tie it back to a chain of videos that the algorithm recommended for me. There was a period of time that I was watching TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for 12 plus hours a day. It was not only an escape, but it was becoming fundamentally an addiction. I've been thinking about it more. Social media can be helpful when I'm using it very intentionally, when I'm using it to solve a specific problem. Example, I need a new bed frame. Facebook Marketplace is going to be the easiest and quickest way to find one that's like a decent price being used. I had a little resurgence in my photography hobby. I needed to find more models to work with, specifically to send out casting calls to models. Facebook groups are so good for that. Social media is helpful on a case-by-case basis when it's solving a specific problem. So too, I think I want to make my approach to AI. The Kurzgesagt YouTube channel just talked about AI slop and made a promise about how they were going to use AI using a metaphor. And I loved it so much.
If AI eats the majority of the attention pie, channels like ours will become unfeasible, or forced to downsize or use AI themselves to be able to compete. We don't want to play this game. How will we use AI? Like the Align tool in Adobe Illustrator. If you have a bunch of boxes and you want to line them up, you can do this manually one by one, or you can just select them, click Align, and have them perfectly aligned in an instant. It's the same with AI programming tools for animation or using it as a faster Google alternative. AI is a helpful tool, but the creativity and integrity is still ours.
The other big thing that I mention in my class frequently is I tell the story about how ideas are cheap. In storytelling, a lot of people are like, my idea is so precious. I'm like, no, your idea isn't precious. Ideas are the easy part. The skill to turn the idea into something that has the effect on the audience that you want. The 10 years of practice it takes to learn that's the hard part, and that's the valuable part. It's not the idea. And with AI writing, we are shortcutting to the cheap part. We're letting, we're taking only the part that I consider the least important, and we're putting that in the hands of the human beings, and all the things that are most important, we're abdicating to the machine. That really worries me. I know this is dangerous to say, but I sincerely think we can trust that people are going to want artist-created books. That even if the AI gets to where it's indistinguishable, people are going to want the books written by writers. And I think they're going to want someone who has a distinctive voice, who has put in those years. I just think there's something different about a person developing their own style over time.
I also feel that people want to connect with other people. And when there's a human on the other side of it, people are going to be more drawn to it.
Yep. People watch humans play video games. You could put a computer playing that game, and it would do just a fantastic job and never lose. They still
Who
go
wants
watch.
to see that?
Yeah, who wants that? They watch the streamers.
Hayao Miyazaki is often quoted as saying, "I'm a man of the 20th century. I don't want to deal with the 21st." And I don't blame him for that sentiment. In fact, I very much am a man of the 21st century, and lately I haven't wanted to deal with it at all. But this journey has made me realize that so often I'm just listening to a specific person's narrative, and the actual reality is so much more nuanced and complicated. And that's a good thing.
I really wanted to end this video on some sort of actual conclusion. None of us know what the consequences of AI will be, and any attempt from me to draw any sort of conclusion or prediction would be half-baked and ignorant and silly. I also really wanted to draw some kind of moral conclusion about going out and touching grass and being a part of nature, but the closest nature to me is a 20-minute drive, and I don't have time. And so I sit in my little studio apartment box with my cute little dog and struggle to come to terms with a new reality. I have found that the more that I engage with my own passions and my interpersonal relationships and my own goals and dreams, the less I spend time online, the calmer and more peaceful my life is. It's a difficult thing to try to stay informed and to research things that will mean something in the future without allowing it to completely devastate my mental health. I have no idea what the future holds, and no matter how much research I do, I will never know. So I'm simply going to do my best and latch on to a little bit of naivete and pragmatic optimism. It serves me better to have hope. So that's what I'm going to choose. Say bye, dog.
Good girl, yes.
The future brain may be one that's seamlessly connected to technology. We may have little sensors on our heads so that if you want to meet someone for coffee, you just think about it, and that thought is beamed wirelessly to your friend, and you can sip your coffee and you don't even have to talk. You could just beam your thoughts to each other.